regarding cancellation of certificate, the minister may cancel the certificate or suspend the service of its holder for a period of not exceeding 1 year, or give a reprimand in case of any one of the following. First, when a certificate officer has served on board a ship in violation with the provision of application of manning standards. Second, when a certificate officer has served on board a ship and does not submit his or her certificate or endorsement or does not carry it on board. Third, when a certificate officer has either lent his or her certificate or endorsement to other persons or abuse it unlawfully. Fourth, when any certificate officer committed a misconduct or posed a direct threat to safety of life or property at sea or to the marine environment while performing duties as a ship officer on board a vessel. 잠깐만요. 준비됐습니다. Fifth, when the holder is of suspended certificate fails to submit the certificate within the 30 days. Or sixth, when a certificate officer has served on board a ship during suspension period, the minister shall cancel the certificate in case its holder has obtained that certificate fraudulently or in unlawful manner. In relation to the issuing certificate of endorsement of foreign officers, the Ship Officers Act provides special exemption provisions for those holding foreign COC. Therefore, a foreign officer can obtain Korean Certificate of Endorsement, COE in short, when he or she meets relevant requirements. A foreign certificated officer endorsed by the minister may serve as a ship officer on board Korean flag ships, excluding fishing vessels, engaged in international voyages, which means that foreign officers can serve on board Korean vessels, merchant vessels, and taking international voyages only. The minister may recognize and issue an endorsement with the limitations of ships and capacities on board the ships within the limitation of original COC. Therefore, you cannot serve any longer than your expiry date of your original COC. The endorsement shall be valid for 5 years, but the COE can be invalidated from the date when the original certificate becomes invalid. This is because of the STCW convention. Then, talking on how to obtain Korean COE, as shown in this diagram, a foreign officer holding a valid COC is exempted from written exam and maritime education and training courses, including safety training courses, radar simulation course, and radar alpha course, refresher course, etc. However, he and she has to either pass an oral exam or complete Korean maritime laws course. Then he or she can submit an application for obtaining Korean COE. When submitting the application, a candidate has to also submit the following supporting document. One of each of the following copy. First, COC, your COC, original COC. Second, medical fitness certificate obtained from your country. Third, seafarers employment contract or employment. Fourth, compulsory training certificates. Either you obtained from your country or from Korea. Fifth, certificate of success for oral exam or training certificate of maritime laws. And at least 2 photographs of certain size. Regarding training of maritime laws for foreign certificate officers, the syllabi consist of the following laws and regulations, namely Seafarers Act and Ship Officers Act, which I am now giving you some important parts. The Ship Safety Act, Act on Arrival, Departure, etc. of vessel in port. Marine Environment Management Act, Korean Code for Security of Ships and Port Facilities, and any necessary laws and regulations recognized by the minister. Those who have completed training of maritime laws for foreign certificate officers can have a privilege of exemption from the oral exam. When a certificate officer intends to apply for the revalidation of a certificate of endorsement, he or she needs to submit following documents to Regional Maritime and Ocean Administration. First, the certificate of endorsement or a document certifying such a fact in case the applicant is serving on a ship, on board a ship. Second, a copy of a certificate of competency. Third, a certificate of seagoing service on board Korean ships. Fourth, a medical fitness certificate. This may be substituted by a document issued by the ship owner confirming that candidate is serving on ships, on board a ship, which means that when you are serving on a ship, then you need not to present medical certificate again, because the fact of you are now serving on a ship implies that you are medically fit. Therefore, we exempt from presenting medical fitness certificate when you are submitting application. Fifth, 2 photographs. And the validity of a revalidated certificate of endorsement is the same as original COC of the applicant. Turning to how to prove seagoing service, one of the following means can be accepted by the ministry as a legitimate proof. First, a seafarer's book. Second, an approved training record book. Third, approved training period by the recognized education and training institution. In calculating period of seagoing service engaged as different capacities, each seagoing service shall be added up together after having converted in proportion to seagoing service period for each capacity given in the attached table 1 ter. You can study the attached table 1 ter, which set out compulsory requirement concerning the minimum seagoing service period for all species and classes of COCs. The chapter 3 is about officers. First, with regards to manning standard of deck and engineering officers, ship owner shall carry appropriate certificate officer, including persons granted the recognition of a certificate under the Article 10 bis on board each ship, taking account of first, trading area, navigating area, second, description or types of ships, third, propulsion power of main engine, and last, other matters pertaining to the safe operation of vessels. The minimum manning standards of ship officers for types of vessels are given in the attached table 3. You can see details in the table under the Presidential Decree of the Ship Officers Act. This table sets out the minimum manning standards for deck officers on vessels other than small vessels. There are other standards for small vessels. This table shows the bigger ships. The bigger ships engaged in international waters. I would not explain this table in detail, but to describe a part of it. For instance, third officer on passenger ships of 6,000 gross tons or more needs to hold a third-class deck officer certificate, while third officer on vessels of 6,000 GT or more, other than passenger ships, needs to hold a first-class deck officer certificate. For smaller ships, you need to hold lower class certificate, as can be understood from this table. So in Korean manning standard, the manning standard for passenger ship is more stringent than other type of vessel. This table sets out the minimum manning standards for engineer officers on vessels other than small vessels engaged in international waters. For instance, first engineer officer on ships of 6,000 kilowatts or more needs to hold a first-class engineer officer certificates. For ships with smaller propulsion power, you need to hold lower-class certificates. In case of manning standard for radio electronic officers, the manning standards of radio electronic officers on board vessels installed with the GMDSS radio equipment shall be in conformity with the requirements of attached table 3 bis. In case other officers than a radio officer have obtained the qualifications necessary to perform the capacity of radio officers, they are entitled to perform both capacities simultaneously on board vessels. Adopted the duplication system of radio equipment together with shore-based maintenance system. In order for any officers to perform dual capacities simultaneously with the deck officers and radio officers, not less than 2 persons among the rest of ship officers are required to have obtained first-class radio electronic officer certificate, in short, GMDSS or ROC, or over. This means that there must be at least 3 persons holding radio electronic officer certificates, among which one of the 3 persons must have a third-class radio electronic officer certificate, meaning GMDSS GOC. This provision is set out to meet requirements to ensure the continuous radio watch under the SOLAS Convention Chapter 4. This table sets out the minimum manning standards for radio electronic officer serving on board a vessel with the GMDSS equipment. For instance, ship radio officer on cargo ships taking international voyages needs to hold a third or fourth class radio officer certificate, provided that the cargo ship have duplicating installation of the radio equipment and shore maintenance system is adopted. In order to serve as a senior officer on board a ship taking ocean-going voyages, you need to meet additional seagoing service requirements for senior officers. That is to say, every person desiring to perform the capacity as a master, chief officer, chief operating officer, first operating officer, or chief radio officer on board the vessel engaged in international voyages shall be required to have completed seagoing service specified in the attached table 4, and also to undergo a refresher training course for ocean-going vessels. These are additional requirements for senior deck or radio officers. This table shows the minimum additional seagoing service requirements for master and chief officers are to serve on board a ship taking ocean-going voyages. If you intend to serve as chief officer on board a ship of 3,000 GT or more, then you should have at least 1 year or more of seagoing service as a deck officer. And if you intend to serve as a master on board a ship of 3,000 GT or more, then you should have at least 3 years or more. In case that you have 1 year of such seagoing service has been served as master or chief officer, then that period will become 2 years. This table shows minimum additional seagoing service requirements for chief officers and second engineer officer who are to serve on board a ship taking ocean-going voyages. If you intend to serve on second engineer on board a ship of 3,000 kilowatts or more, then you should have at least 1 year or more of seagoing service as an engineer officer. And if you intend to serve as a chief engineer on board a ship of 3,000 kilowatts or more, then you should have at 3 years or more, of which not less than 1 year of seagoing service has been served as a second engineer officer. Talking on capacities of ship officers, capacities on ship officers are as follows. First, master shall be in charge of and responsible for the whole operation and management of ship or vessel. Second, deck officers shall perform navigational watch in deck department. Third, chief engineer shall be responsible for the operation of engines and machineries. Fourth, engineer officers shall perform engineering watch in engine department. Fifth, electrotechnical officer shall perform such duties as the maintenance, inspection, management, repair, etc. of the electronic and electric systems and automatic control facilities and systems of the ship, including navigational equipment and deck facilities. Sixth, ship radio officer and radio officers responsible for ship's communications. Last but not least, chief operating officer and operating officers shall perform operating watch, which means integrated watch regarding deck, engine and electronic equipment, etc. in automated vessels as such. The Ship Officers Act provides exception of manning standards for vacancy. The first kinds of exceptions are as follows. The manning standards shall not be applicable in the case of one of the following subparagraphs. In this case, the relevant ship owner shall recruit the vacancy without delay. First, it is impractical to fill the vacant post immediately in case any vacancies of ship officers occurred on ships engaged in routine foreign ports. In this case, it is virtually impossible to fill the vacancies. Second, any vacancy of ship officers occurred on board a vessel flying routine domestic port and foreign ports, and the vessel is sailing homeward bound. Or third, in addition to above, any vacancy occurred while ship is at sea. However, it is impractical to recruit the vacancy immediately. Ship owner, in case of the above, shall report to the minister the fact of the vacancy and make a plan for recruiting it. Similar arrangement do exist in STCW Convention. In case of STCW Convention, we have what we call dispensation provision. But in Korean Ship Officer Act, we provide some exceptional cases for vacancies, which is equivalent to the dispensation under the STCW Convention. Now, the second type is a sort of approved exception of manning standards. That is to say, when ship owner has obtained an approval from the minister, since his or her vessel falls under one of the following subparagraphs, he or she may assign the approved certificate officer to fill specified post despite the requirements of manning standards. This is a sort of relaxing manning standards. First, a vessel is being towed by another vessel. In this case, it is not really necessary to apply very stringent requirement. Second, a vessel is not being used for sailing because she is in dry dock, under repair or at mooring, or for other vessels. Sorry for making my some. 네, 끊읍시다. 조금 싫어합시다. 이게 지금 그게 나오네. 뭐라는 거? 삼성에서 나오는 거 있잖아. 이게 간혹씩 나오대 이거. 이거 안 되는데 저주가 따야 되는데.
무음에는 계속 나오는가 보네요.
이거는 그 뭐라는 게?
그거랑 상관없이 그냥.
얘는 무음과 관계없이 이게 나오더라고. 이 뭐라 이거?
그러면 저기.
저쪽에 좀 갖다 놔요. 이거 좀 새로 합시다. first. 예, 그럽시다. 예. Yeah. First, a vessel is being towed by another vessel. Second, a vessel is not being used for sailing because she is in dry dock, under repair, or at mooring, or for other reasons. Third, where the construction or the equipment of the vessel is peculiar. Fourth, where a vessel is engaged exclusively in particular shipping routes or waters. Fifth, where a vessel is engaged in coastal navigations while having a base within the territory of a foreign country. Sixth, in case of foreign flag vessels. Last but not least, in case of vessel is considered necessary to navigate urgently or exclusively between domestic ports of which the estimated hours of navigation are within 4 hours. In those cases, the very stringent requirement would not be actually necessary to be applied. Third type is also a sort of approved exception of manning standards, but the period of exception is limited to a maximum of 6 months. That is to say, in inevitable circumstances due to short of supply of certificate officers under the presidential decree, the minister may permit to carry ship officers holding lower class of certificate than in the manning standard for a period, for a specified period not exceeding 6 months. Turning to the topic of keeping the certificate, etc., on board, when serving on a ship, every ship officer shall submit his or her certificate of competency or certificate of endorsement to master, and the master shall keep it available on board the ship. This is because of the responding to various control, including both flag and port state controls. The next topic is about refresher training for certificated officers. The minister may require certificated officers to undergo refresher training when he or she regards it necessary to enhance their quality and technical ability. Persons required to complete training courses, the contents and period of courses. See the attached table 1. This table actually shows the kinds of training courses that are required to undergo by the persons required to complete relevant courses as appropriate. Radar simulation course, ACTIS course, Alpha course need to be completed for obtaining deck officer and operating officer COCs majoring in deck major. This table shows training courses required to complete by person who desiring to serve on onboard oil tankers, chemical tankers, and liquefied gas tankers, including LPG and LNG tankers. Now, Chapter 4 explains supplementary rules and penalties. First, regarding the prohibition of misuse of certificate, etc., every certificated officer or person granted the recognition of certificate under Article 10 bis must neither lend his or her certificate of competency or certificate of endorsement to other persons, nor abuse it unlawfully. Because, second, regarding quasi-application, this act shall mutatis mutandis apply to seafarers on board foreign flag vessels chartered by any person who is entitled to own Korean flag vessels, which means that the bareboat chartered vessel by higher base. Regarding Section 3, penalties is about infringement. Infringement for a term not exceeding 1 year or a fine not exceeding 5 million won in case of one of the following. First, any person who has obtained certificate of endorsement fraudulently or in an unlawful manner. Second, any person who has served on board a vessel as a ship officer without an appropriate certificate of endorsement, or a person who has engaged such a person on board his or her vessel. However, this excludes the cases where the certificate of endorsement expires at sea. Third, any person who has falsely certificated sea service for a candidate. Fourth, any person who has engaged a certificated officer whose service has been suspended in accordance with the provision of Article 9 of this Act, including the cases where the paragraph 5 of Article 10 bis is mutandis applied on board his or her ship as a ship officer. Last but not least, any person who has engaged persons granted recognition of a certificate under Article 10 bis on board his vessel ship in violation of the manning standard. Regarding Section 4 penalties, a fine not exceeding 3 million won in any one of the following. First, any person whose service was suspended in accordance with the provision of Article 9 of this Act, including the cases where the paragraph 5 of Article 10 bis is mutandis applied, or the Marine Accident Inquiry Act has served in violation of suspension on board the vessel as a ship officer. Or second, any person who has violated manning standards. Regarding Section 5 penalties again, provision of both to blame. In addition to the punishment of the offender, the cooperative body or individual within that cooperative body shall be liable to a fine corresponding to respective articles concerned. This is a very special provision in order for them to observe rules. 6. Regarding negligence fine not exceeding 3 million won, anyone has engaged, although the certificate of endorsement of an officer has expired at sea, on board a ship as a ship officer, or he or she has refused, disturbed, or evaded. Next slide, please. Evaded inspection or verification set out in the provision of Article 1 relating to port state control. With this, I would like to wrap up my lecture today. I hope you could now compare Korean system with your system and perhaps come up with your suggestions and recommendations to your country. Thank you for listening.
Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Sanket here and you are watching Marina's vlog. Today I am going to show you my daily life on ship. Life at sea is not like 9 to 6 job on land. It's very tough to maintain schedule changes all the time. As my ship is non-EMS class, so my daily routine is fixed. But sometimes in case of emergency, you have to stand by as work goes on. Every day I wake up at 3:40 in the morning. I get fresh and get ready for my morning watch. I wear all my PPE in changing room. Safety helmet is very important to wear in engine room, but sometimes I wear it in case of emergency or whenever it require only. Because wearing helmet in 45-48 degrees is get more tough to work. I enter in engine room 5 to 10 minutes before to take over the duty and relieve the duty person. As per the rule, you must take over the duty 15 minutes before, but 5 to 10 minutes is also enough. Boiler platform. After taking over the duty, you start a proper engine room round from top to bottom. This is steering room. Main engine. These are 3 generator. Purifier. Incinerator. Freshwater generator. During the engine room round, you must check all the machinery properly, any leakages, machinery working properly or not. Pressure gauge, any vibration on pump, temperature. All these things you have to check during round. This is maneuvering platform. Lube oil purifier, air compressor, during round some maintenance has to be carried out. Finally my 4 to 8 wash finished and it's time for breakfast. Time for heavy breakfast. Okay guys, it's 10:30 in the morning and my duty is finished now. Or सुबह morning 4 to morning 8 it's my watch, actual watch, and after that 2 hours is my overtime. अभी duty खत्म हो गया है. I will just take shower, I will get fresh. On 11:30 I will go for my lunch, afternoon lunch, and after that I will take rest till 4 o'clock, and after that again 4 to 8 watch. So this is the basically daily routine. Today we have dal. Today's menu is this mutton, dal, rice, some salad. daily 2 menus, one for vegetarian people, one for non-vegetarian people, and every day you will get veg and non-veg in morning, afternoon and dinner. After completing my lunch, I spend some time on internet, some time for my family, some time for replies of YouTube comments, some time on Instagram. 3:45 in the morning, sorry, afternoon. It's time for watch. 4 to 8 evening, it's again my watch. What's up? Now it's the time for workout. Every day I'm doing, since last 28 days, it's continuously I'm doing for 1 hour. I think I have to work continuously like this. Staying fit on board is very important part, because sometimes it's a very heavy work, sometimes very light work. So every time you have to be energetic. After the gym, just I got fresh, took shower. It's about 9 in the night, and I'm going to have my dinner. Basically, dinner timing is 6 to 7 in the evening, but my duty finish at 8 o'clock, and I make my schedule. I try to take my dinner after 9 or 10 because of workout and all. So today's menu, one non-veg and one veg. This is the chicken, and this is butter paneer, and some rotis. Well, after completing my dinner, I just spent some time for my family, and most of the time Instagram. Well, lots of messages coming on Instagram every day, and I try to manage replies all of them. Those questions are relevant, and I think that those questions are important. Then I definitely reply to those questions. Entertainment is also an important part of humans' life. Everyone spend their time according to their own interest, and on board ship we have TV room, gym room, chess, carom board, cars, and many other things for the entertainment. So well, this is how mariners' life goes on ship. Every person have their own schedule. Well guys, that's it for the today's video, and hope you like this video. If you like this video, give like and do share with your friends. And yes, see you in next video. Till then, bye bye and enjoy the video. Thank you very much.